Kaieteur Radio, keeping you informed.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Burby's 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Good evening and welcome to this evening's newscast right here on Kaieteur Radio. I am Kevin Smith. Let's get to the news in detail. Minister of Natural Resources Vikram Bharat yesterday approved ExxonMobil's third field development in the Stabroek Block, the Kaieteur project. Exxon said, after making its final investment decision yesterday, that the Prosperity oil vessel will start production in 2020, that should be in 2024, at up to 220,000 barrels of oil per day. ExxonMobil said that 10 drill centers are planned along with up to 41 wells, including 20 production and 21 injection wells. Notably, the company stated yesterday that the Kaieteur development will cost $9 billion to produce 600 million oil equivalent barrels. This is $3 billion higher than its $6 billion estimate for the Liza Phase 2 project, which will be producing at a similar peak rate from the reserve with a similar volume estimate. Liza Phase 2 is projected to start producing in 2022. Experts including petroleum consultant Dr. Jan Mangal and international lawyer Melinda Janke had spoken against approving Kaieteur so rapidly. They had said that Guyana should take all the time it needs to review Kaieteur. Dr. Mangal explained that proper reviews require large teams of technical experts and may take many months, even years. In other news, President Irfaan Ali does not intend to touch a cent from Guyana's Sovereign Wealth Fund until a series of reforms are enacted to strengthen the government's regulatory infrastructure for the oil and gas sector. These reforms include revamping the Natural Resource Fund Act, establishing a petroleum commission, and updating other legislation pertinent to the management of the oil and gas sector. And moving on, before any talks of inclusive governance can commence between the governing PPPC and the opposition, APNU-AFC, their leader, Joseph Harman, may have to publicly rescind his utterances that the government is illegal. That was the ultimatum given by President Irfaan Ali himself in response to questions on when the two major parties would have a sit-down to devise strategies meant to improve Guyana. President Ali made it clear that he is open to working with all Guyanese. However, he was quick to point out that there should be mutual respect between both parties. In other news, former head of NISIL, Winston Brassington, is facing intense cross-examination in yet another defamation trial over the contents of the Demboy Sec column published in the Kaieteur News. Brassington has brought a total of 19 lawsuits against the popular Guyanese publication and its former editor-in-chief, Adam Harris, for the contents of the daily published satirical feature. According to the claims, Brassington is accusing the Kaieteur News of making several offensive and libelous statements in relation to his role in several state projects. As head of NISIL, Brassington played an integral part in several transactions, including the controversial Amila Falls Hydro project. During a virtual hearing of one of the matters before Justice Fidela Corbin Lincoln at the High Court yesterday, Brassington was again questioned by Kaieteur News lawyer Nigel Hughes about his interpretation of the contents of a Demboy Sec column. Get the full details on the grilling of Brassington in today's Kaieteur News. And moving on, a 64-year-old construction worker was on Tuesday granted $400,000 bail for a manslaughter charge in which he allegedly killed his brother. The defendant, O'Neill Jordan, of 66 Den Amstel, West Coast Demerara, virtually appeared before Magistrate Zamina Ali C. Paul in the Lenora Magistrates Court. He was not required to plead to the indictable offense, which stated that on September 24th this year at Back Street, Den Amstel, he allegedly killed his brother Winston Jordan of Back Street, Den Amstel. According to a police report, Winston's body was fished out of a trench by two passersby after the defendant allegedly threw him overboard and refused to render assistance. And moving on, a white Toyota Allion which was hijacked last Saturday by two armed passengers, was on Wednesday discovered vandalized and abandoned at Ayfield Sophia, Georgetown. The car, stolen at Plum Park Sophia around 15 hours 30 from its owner, 37-year-old Azul Mohammed, a taxi driver located on the west coast of Demerara. Police ranks, acting upon information, located the car in a relatively good condition, but with its number plate changed and a few parts from the inside missing. The car is currently at the Turkine police station, where investigators are conducting the necessary investigations. Let's tell you now that a 26-year-old police constable stationed at the Tactical Services Unit, or TSU, was Tuesday last robbed of his XR Honda motorcycle. The rank, identified as Prince Bagat of Cornelia Ida on the west coast of Demerara, was robbed at around 19 hours in front of his father's home located at David Rose Street on the west bank of Demerara. According to police reports, Bagat was sitting on his motorcycle when two men armed with a gun ran up from behind him and held him at gunpoint. The men ordered him not to move and told him to remain quiet before they relieved him of his bike, valued $435,000, and rode away with it. Let's tell you now that if Guyana wants to ensure that the portion of oil revenue set aside for procurement purposes is not at risk for corruption, then it would be wise to ensure the award of contracts is subjected to a competitive process that is underpinned by transparency. This was recently noted by expert on oil sector corruption, Alexandra Gillies. The specialist made these and other statements during her first appearance on Kaieteur Radio's show, Guyana's Oil and You. There, the advisor to the Natural Resource Governance Institute was asked about key strategies the fledgling oil producer can employ to keep corruption at bay. She warned, whenever you see an anonymous shell company as a party to deal, then there's another area where you should focus scrutiny and ask lots of questions. While oil sector procurement is an area that is vulnerable to corruption, Gillies was keen to note that the fight against fraud and crooked deals in this industry will require effective institutions across multiple branches of government. Stay tuned. Coming up next is the front page comment brought to you by Kaieteur News. Why is the APNU-AFC silent on the carting off of our oil blocks? The APNU and AFC are adding little value to Guyana's politics. To the disgust of many, they are focused too much on power and too little on the country's progress. While the country's riches are being carted off, the main parliamentary opposition is not raising a word of objection. In this instant, the main opposition party is no different from the ruling PPPC. Why are APNU and the AFC at one with the PPPC in saying nothing about the plundering of our oil and the disappearance of oil blocks into unknown private hands? What are the real roles of the APNU and the AFC in this national disaster? Why do they have nothing to say or refuse to be critical of their main adversaries' handling of these issues? We have to ask whether they are in bed with or on the same page as the PPPC when it comes to the disappearance of the Kanji and Kaieteur blocks and the review of the Payaro Field Development Plan. We agree that the pandemic, the budget, and the appointment of office holders of the regional democratic councils are important. However, what can be more important than ensuring that our country gets a better deal for its oil wealth? The APNU and the AFC can serve Guyanese better if they are hawk-eyed over our oil. Yet, they are curiously silent. We challenge the opposition to join with us in seeking answers about the Kaieteur and the Kanji block. We have been doing so every day for years now, and where are the where are the APNU and the AFC? When are they going to advocate for greater transparency and accountability when it comes to our resources? And that's the news of the moment. Remember to get the full details of these stories, pick up a copy of the Kaieteur News. And don't forget, you can catch us on the MyTuner app as well as the Radio Garden app.
You can also keep up to date by liking our Facebook page at Kaieteur Radio and subscribing to our YouTube channel, Kaieteur Radio Livestream. Oh, also catch our stream at www.kaieteurnewsonline.com/radio.